NBA 著名記者 Craig Sager 日前不敵眼魔與世長辭，並於美國時間20號早上假亞特蘭大舉行追思會。出席嘅朋友包括 Reggie Miller、Isaiah Thomas、生前份屬好友嘅 Charles Barkley、現任 NBA 總裁 Adam Silver 以及馬刺總教練 Greg Popovich 均有出席。會上多名親友都有輪流發言，講述對 Sager 嘅生前點滴，又分享對 Sager 嘅感覺同埋種種嘅思念。
There was never just a normal day with my dad. Every day and every outfit was absolutely outrageous. As I'm sure you can guess, I did not buy this for myself. A certain someone got this for me for Christmas last year. It's not the normal attire, just like Randy. I'm normally not in rainbow-colored fringe jackets. I'll never forget the times that I've had with my dad. Just one specific example was we were down in Miami. He had the day off. There wasn't a heat practice or a game, so we just hopped on a plane and flew to the Bahamas. Didn't discuss it, just went right ahead. There was never a plan with Dad. He just wanted to make every single day the best it could possibly be.
He must have been an amazing father. I mean, yeah, he was a good dad, but he was a better wingman. Back in the day, my go-to first date move was to take a guy to a game with me and my dad to see if he could hang. My sophomore year at Georgia Tech, I was dating a football player, and we met my dad at a Braves game. He asked him what position he played, and when he told him he was a linebacker, my dad asked, "Oh, have you tackled my daughter yet?"
We are so proud of him, and our incredible life together will always be our life story. So I will never forget that you never gave in. We will continue making the most out of life as our lives demand the most out of us. We will live our lives full of love and full of fun. It's the only way we know how. Thank you, Dad, and go Cubs!
The video you just saw ran on Thursday night, hours after Craig had passed. It was written by Drew Watkins, who heads up our creative team. Our creative team knows I can be kind of a pain in the butt when it comes to voicing their features. Because I said, well, does this sound like something I would say? Is this, shouldn't we use this word here? Shouldn't we use this way? And when I saw that script, didn't have to touch it. Because it's absolutely encompassed Craig Sager. I've been sitting here with my wife Cheryl and looking at this photo of Craig from the ESPYs. And there's this look of despair and this look of unbridled hope. And that was Segs, who worked that room that night in Los Angeles. And I think of so many people. Here's what Craig has done. He's planted sequoias. Because there will be people who watched this fight who unfortunately 10, 15, 20 years from now will hear a doctor say, yeah, it's cancer. And they're going to say, I remember when I was 15 years old and I watched this guy, Craig Sager, fight this thing. I can too. What we do at Turner Sports from time to time, and this has been going on for 25 years, we'll have a preseason meeting about the NBA or our Major League Baseball coverage or or Lenny Daniels will celebrate a birthday, or we'll be at the Legends Brunch at All-Star Weekend. And I started writing poems to mark the occasion. And a lot of times the people at Turner, and there are so many here today, would say, "Oh, he's going to read the poem. I hope I'm not in it." Because it's not always the most flattering thing. Because you may have thought that you got away with something last NBA season that nobody noticed, but then somebody says, "Hey, did you hear about that? You might want to put that in the poem." Oh, good. So I'll do that. So I thought it was only fitting for a day like this when we honor Craig and celebrate his life that, well, this one deserved a poem. So here goes. And so here we gather on this December morning, 5 days having passed since word came with no warning. Our buddy, our brother, our friend for so long had left us to ponder this thing, Sager Strong. He stood out as a newborn, his blanket magenta, with hints of turquoise, lavender, and a touch of burnt sienna. Some babies had rattles and toys of their own. Craig had a loud suit and a new microphone. He went to Northwestern, there honing his skills, where Wildcat football had few wins or thrills. Those fall days in Evanston can be rather chilly when you're dressed as the mascot, freezing your willy. Craig would have loved that line. He got his big break working in Sarasota. Let me share with you this very true anecdote. The date April 8th, back in '74, Hank Aaron was knocking on the great Babe Ruth's door. Craig made the trip north to watch 7:15, and he did something none of us had ever seen. When Aaron connected on Al Downing's pitch, Craig ran on the field, that son of a gun. The crowd's going nuts as Hank circles the bases, and there at home plate amid all of those faces is a guy in a trench coat that's not made to order. Yeah, that's Seggs with his Radio Shack tape recorder. You knew then and there with that move which took guts that great things awaited, no ifs, ands, or buts. He took his talents to KC and then moved again when stardom took hold as he hit CNN. A studio host and a roving reporter, he covered the country from border to border. Years at TBS followed, and then TNT, where his wardrobe some nights was must-not-see TV. A paisley tie featuring diamonds was keen, a kangaroo blazer that jumped off the screen, a hand-woven belt from the bark of a willow, and shoes fashioned from a deceased armadillo. But don't think for a moment it was just about style. If that is your thinking, you're off by a mile. He prepped for each game with meticulous flair. A pro's pro does that when he goes on the air. And that's why when Craig's cancer fight became known, that there was just so much love and respect being shown. Because coaches and players all know they arrive when they stand next to Craig and the interview's live. They loved his work ethic, but in truth, at day's end, they viewed Craig as a colleague and above all, a friend. He'd ask the tough question when it had to be done, and somehow the subject would say, "That was fun." Now, working with Craig, here's one thing you should know. Did the man ever sleep? I do not believe so. He'd go running each day and do research at night. I'm told he once went to Hooters and had a Bud Light. The golf course always was for Craig a favorite destination. He took $10 million off his friends by estimation. He won the Carmo Classic every year, was undefeated. And afterwards, in disbelief, he'd say, "You think I cheated?" I really, truly do believe no man enjoyed life more. That laugh, that smile, that joy we saw when he walked in the door. And how he worshiped Stacy. How he loved the sound of Dad. How he knew his job was one that everybody wished they had. That vibrant, thankful part of Craig was never lost or hidden, even when his illness laid him low, and I'm not kidding. You'd visit him and hope to cheer him up or lift his spirit. He'd expressed his hopeful outlook and make you glad that you could hear it. There were countless chemo hours, many a sleepless night, that marked this unrelenting, awe-inspiring cancer fight. And then there was the profound impact that Craig Jr. had. Not once, but twice, this faithful son gave life to his dad. In honesty, we weren't surprised that Craig returned to work. For all of us to see him on the sidelines was a perk. To see him interviewing Pop, Rick Kyle, Lara LaDoc, Segs was back and using every second of the clock. And how that must have felt to hear the roars of fans league-wide who cheered his courage and took selfies standing by his side. I watched him work a playoff game, fly home, and right away have chemo, board a flight, and hit the sidelines the next day. In each NBA city, there were T-shirts, there were signs. As admiration freely flowed, arenas became shrines. It truly was miraculous, his will, his fight, his grit. It's as if he said, "You're cancer, huh? Well, I don't give a darn." The man that we reflect upon this day was just a treasure. The number of folks who he inspired, there's just no way to measure. At the ESPYs, when they got that honor named for Jimmy V, in a room of marquee players, Craig's the guy they came to see. He delivered the most eloquent and heartfelt speech that night. He displayed that in our darkest times, one man can be a light. The line we'll all remember, cut through sorrow like a knife. Time, Craig said with passion, is simply how you live your life. And so amid the tears and all the memories we cherish now, we say farewell to our friend Segs and make this humble vow. There's no way to gauge the days we have, no way to know how long. But know this, Craig, will do our best to live 'em Sager strong.